Oh, hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Come on in.
Thank you. You have a great room here.
Thank you so much.
How would you describe your classroom?
I try to keep it as sort of scientific and creative.
And how long have you been teaching?
I started before 2000 in Ohio, and then did research for about 14 years, and then came back in 2014.
And what is the best experiment you have ever done?
My son and I tested different plants for the kinds of chlorophyll they had. So some that are full light had one kind of chlorophyll, and some that are part shade had a different type. Do you want a s'more?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
And so you've taught at places other than Leesville. Where have you taught?
I've taught at St. Francis Xavier in New York City, and then I also taught at the Wellington School. I've taught at Wake Tech. I've taught at Gibbons, and I've been teaching here now.
Since you taught in New York City, are you from New York City?
It's funny people ask that, but I'm actually from Yonkers, New York.
Oh, okay. And where did you like teaching the best?
That's not a terribly fair question.
Why isn't that a fair question?
Well, when I was at Wellington, students didn't have phones yet, and it was a lot easier to keep their attention. They kind of came ready to at least pay attention to the teacher. These days, I'm not sure if I caught on fire that I could get kids to look up from their phones.
Is that your secret to teaching?
I think it more has to do with the fact that I don't know how to make a s'more. I was a student right before I taught both times. I had just finished graduate school in Ohio, and this last time I was finishing my graduate degree at NC State, so I sort of was in the student's shoes right before I started teaching, and I understood that sometimes it's about what the teacher prioritizes and not what you're interested in learning.
And speaking of teaching, what subjects have you taught?
I've taught chemistry, physics, creative writing, and cinema.
What subjects are you teaching now?
All chemistry.
What is your best memory of teaching?
My best memory of teaching is when the classes understand that they should be kind to each other, and it's also a little bit funny, so that I can relax and they can relax, and we have a much better time when that's the dynamic.
And what's most rewarding about teaching?
It's most rewarding when I can get kids to focus on the learning and not their grades.
And has a student ever taught you something?
Absolutely, all the time. If you get to a point where they can communicate specifically what they don't understand, I've learned so much about how what I think is communicated one way is not received by students another.
And what has been your favorite place to visit?
Probably Yosemite National Park.
How many times have you been out of the country?
I'd say it's 5 times.
If you had to eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably something with pasta.
Is there any food you won't go near?
I haven't had beets since I was a kid.
And if you could have a meal with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
I'd say Charles Barkley.
Since you said Charles Barkley, is basketball your favorite sport?
Yeah, I do enjoy basketball.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Chapel Hill undergrad, that's what got me out of New York, and then Ohio State and NC State.
And what's the most embarrassing fashion trend you used to rock?
I don't know that you got the right person for fashion trend, but I did get some salmon shorts once that I don't think I ever wore after I bought them.
And what's one thing you really want to achieve?
I want to make chemistry less scary for kids.
If not teaching, what would you be doing in your life?
I think during the pandemic, my family got a little sick of how I didn't have an audience, so I think I would need at least people laughing with me sometimes.
And what's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is, I guess, something happening to my kids that was to their health or whatever.
And the beach or the mountains?
The beach.
Books or movies?
I would say movies.
And are you a morning or a night person?
I am a night person.
And what would you say is your favorite TV show?
It's an old HBO show called The Wire.
And how many times have you rewatched it?
I'd say over the years, maybe 7 right through.
And what fictional family would you be a member of?
The Simpsons, absolutely.
And what's your favorite movie?
Pulp Fiction.
And if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I guess flying.
And if you're famous, what would you be famous for?
Probably my music videos.
And what's the best trait you received from your parents?
Independence.
And what would the title of your autobiography be?
I kind of joke that I'm a chemevangelist, that I'm trying to convert kids to science.
And lastly, what would you want to be remembered for?
I hope that people remember me as making their day a little bit better.
That's so noble. Thank you for talking with me.
Sure
Mr.
thing.
Roche.
Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it.